Hello, this is Captain Drew Cavanaugh with Florida Inshore Fishing Charters and Mosquito Lagoon Sight Fishing Charters, located here in East Central Florida on the world famous Mosquito Lagoon, North Indian River, in Titusville, Daytona Beach, Cocoa Beach, Oak Hill. Today is October 24th, 2013, and this is your Orlando Saltwater Inshore Flats Fishing Report for October. First thing let me say is the other day I did a fishing report. I put it up there, published it. I had some video issues with the uploading factor and some error messages, so I had to delete that and I'm redoing it. So this is just basically going to be the same report, just redone. I'm kind of at a different location here, so the other location I was doing, it's just a little bit too windy to do it. You can hear the wind in the background, but so let's do this report for October 2013 here in Central Florida on the lagoon. The past few weeks, like I said before, the fishing's been up and down. We've had some unusually high water here. The water level should start to drop off. Typically this time of year, we've had our first cold front come in through last night. This is what Florida is all about for the next 5-6 months. It is going to be epic fishing. It does not get any better anywhere else for sight fishing the flats. Let's see, last night it got down to 59 degrees. Today it's probably about 76 out, 78 out. I can feel zero humidity. I'm in shorts, flip-flops. We got a long sleeve shirt on and a hat on, and it feels drop dead gorgeous. The water temperature will drop a little bit. What these northwest winds, northeast winds will do, it's going to cause the water level to drop. So for the past few weeks, we've had numerous shots at redfish, trout, and black drum. There were some days that it was better than others. There were some days that were phenomenal, some days that were really bad. What had happened is the water had come up to an extremely high level, and what that does is it spreads the fish out. When you add water to 10 inches deep water where fish are feeding, now where that 10 inches now 23, 24 inches deep, areas that were 2 inches deep are 15, 16 inches, so these spread out. So now I want you to use that as information here when you're looking for these fish in areas that typically is shallower than normal. Now it's deeper. Think of that as new feeding ground. We've been getting great catches early in the morning. Get out there, look for feeding redfish on the flats. They're going to be up on the shallow grass flats before, when it's warm out there. Long the water temperature is optimal. These fish will get a shallow water throughout the morning and day, and they're going to feed on shrimp, crabs, crustaceans, worms. Right now they're feeding a lot on bait fish. So one of my go-to lures the past few weeks, as always, has been this DOA Airhead. I'm a big fan of the white and red there. Everything out here's got white. I just did a lure video on lure color, and mullet are white on the bottom, crabs are white on the bottom, shrimp are white on the bottom. You can't beat that. So throwing top water at first light, we had some really foggy mornings. You can't beat this guy. It comes across the water just real steady. That paddle tail makes some noise, imitating a wounded bait fish, and then bam. The other thing, if you're sight fishing to individual fish, good accuracy, good target, soft presentation, you can't go wrong with the DOA shrimp. So when I'm out there pulling the flats along grass lines and whatnot, lately the past few days, been out there searching shorelines that typically were really shallow. Now the water level's up. It's one red after another red after another red feeding along these banks, because they're up there getting all these bait fish and crabs that have gone up shallower to get away from the predators. You make a good soft presentation to these fish with this, let it land. It's going to move real slow. A shrimp does not move like that. So don't reel it fast, and of course you always got the good go-to cowl. I like to rig these. This one's not rigged, but I like to rig these with a weighted bullet hook, or a weighted hook, make it weedless, and put a small bullet weight on there, get you a little bit of distance and all that. So like I said, the past few days we've had some cloudy days. You can see it's kind of overcast here. Now as this front goes through, the next 4 or 5 weeks is going to be freaking epic out here. It's going to be sunny, crystal clear skies. Winds 5 to 15 out of the north, northwest, northeast. Early morning will be nice 2-3 mile-an-hour winds. Perfect sight conditions, sight fishing conditions. The water clarity should start to clear up. It's not super bad. And right now, actually, this is on one of the ponds where I have access to on private property. There's about 20 of these ponds in the area that I live in that I have access to bass fish and crappie and bluegill. And I'll get to that here in a minute. So this is not the lagoon we're looking at here. This is a pond. The lagoon is off to my right here by maybe a few hundred yards. I just had to come up here to do this video because on the open water, the lagoon, to do this, it's just a little windy out there. It's hard. It makes a lot of wind noise in the microphone. When you're out there searching the flats, you know, take your time. If you get to an area first, you're first there. Now, if you get to an area second, please don't go in on other people. With the water high, the past few weeks, I've noticed that angler after angler after angler has said, man, there's areas we can never run to. Let's run back in there. That's fine and dandy if it's legal. However, on the Mosquito Lagoon and the Wildlife Refuge, the Merritt Island National Wildlife Refuge, there's a massive area called a pole and troll zone. You cannot run a combustion engine in there. The other day, I was back in an area a couple days ago, and took about an hour, pulled down a bank to get way back into an area or start to get onto fish, just to have some body that didn't feel like pulling the boat or running the trolling motor back there, to run all the way back to this spot, to see us there, to give us the look like of surprise that we're there, to turn around to leave. Well, as he did that, one, he broke the law getting back there. Two, he blew all of our fish out. We worked hard to get back into there to have somebody do that. Now I got to turn around to pull out of there, because if I jump up on plane, that's against the law too. So, you know, if you want to do that on your own time and break the law, that's between you and law enforcement. Don't get me involved in it. Don't get other anglers involved in it. It's not fair. So just think about that, those of you that like running the pole and troll zone, breaking the manatee zones. There are those of us out there that really abide by the rules, and we play by the book, and we work hard at it. So just take that into consideration just before you ruin somebody else's day. So if you do get to a spot and you see an angler there, you know, give them a wide berth or communicate with them. Maybe at times you can work together. There are times that 3 anglers, 3 boats can work on a pot of fish or something. Not like the surrounding pound we're seeing here lately in the Indian River, the North Indian River, over in the Titusville, Cocoa Beach, Port St. John's area, where I'm hearing rumors of just 20 boats on top of these big bulls, hammering them day after day, taking these fish out of the water and not showing the respect for the release. You know, when you're handling a big, large breeder fish like that, if you think that the survival is not going to be good, forego the picture. I tell my clients all the time, when you're landing a world record or a trophy fish like that, the most important thing is the survival of this fish, because without that fish, you wouldn't be here in the first place. So really focus on that kind of stuff. Handle these fish well. Always handle the fish horizontally. You know, don't hang them by boga grips like this, because that is very bad. That is very, very bad. Think of that Seinfeld episode. You're a very, very bad man. What you want to do is, when you're out here on the flats, look for bait fish feeding, look for birds feeding, look for drop-off ledges. Like if you're in an area where you know it goes for, you know, 400, 500, 600 yards, square yards of 10, 15 inches, then off to the sides it drops down to 2 to 3 foot. You know, think of that as that flat is a shopping center for them, a grocery store, and then the deeper waters are their apartments, condos, highways, deep woods they can drop down into to get away from predators and whatnot. You know, apply that tactic when you're sight fishing. You know, sun at your back, sun in their face. Don't always use the wind at your ability, because the wind, if you're always fishing with the wind, then that's just a handicap that you shouldn't get used to. Soft presentation when you're casting these fish. Don't let that slam down on them. Make a soft cast, break it. You can watch some of my videos on casting techniques, and along with the lure selection, how to tie knots. You know, you can go through my videos and look at that. Subscribe to me, and you can get a lot of that information. It adds up. I've had a lot of clients get in my boat and they said, man, I never really thought about this kind of stuff. But when you apply some of this knowledge over time, even a short period of time, a few days of doing this, you will improve your catch ratio by a large percentage. The trout bite, the past few days, I had a client last week, we did a couple days in a row, a new repeat client, and we went out there 2 days of solid fog in the northern area of Edgewater, New Smyrna Beach, the backcountry waters there, and we hammered the trout with the bait, with the shallow, the airhead here and the bait buster, shallow running bait buster DOA. It was one after another because they're a low light feeder, so the trout bite's good. We've gotten a few black drum, crab, shrimp. Most of those are bycatch, looking for the redfish and trout, so on and so forth there. But as these cold fronts start to come through, we're getting into November, the next few months, the water level is going to drop, the water clarity is going to improve. The only thing with the water drops, you take now away area for boats to get into. So do take that into mind, and you're going to be compact. We're going to start to get the northerners come down here that are here for the winter. So, you know, everybody show each other respect. Etiquette, etiquette, etiquette. That is one of the key ingredients to a successful day on the water. Just remember, for those that work hard to get to spots first, get to areas first, when you're flats fishing, you're covering an area, two-dimensional area. You might be covering a 1,500-foot radius versus staying in one spot and fishing. I see too many anglers that sit there and say, well, you were right there fishing. And they'll come 20 feet in front of them. This isn't Lake Michigan, this isn't deep reservoirs. We cover areas, because if you get to a spot like right out here, this spot, and I work down this bank, I may pull this whole shoreline, you know, but miles of it. So just take that into consideration. It's something that you learn over time. It's, you know, people don't do it intentionally. It's just there are people that know, and they know they shouldn't. So there's a big difference there. But back, I want to say something real quick. This year I'm going to start doing something. I've grown up here in Central Florida. I used to live over there in Longwood, Altamont Springs, and I grew up fishing the Wekiva River, St. John's River, and a lot of these lakes. And the neighborhood I live in here has some massive, excellent bass fishing. And there's a few lakes and rivers that I know of where the crappie fishing is just phenomenal. Matter of fact, there's one lake where a couple world record crappie have been caught out of, several pounds. I'm going to start offering this year and through the winter time and spring special bass fishing on these ponds, and some special crappie and bluegill and redbreast and catfish charters on the rivers and whatnot. So for those of you interested in doing that, just shoot me an email, drcfishmaster@cfl.rr.com, or you can find it here on this the YouTube video channel and my website, and you know, I can go over the details and all that, you know, the specifications and all that. So like I said, there's a lot of pretty lakes out here, and just you can't go wrong with this. It's just phenomenal out here at some of these lakes. There's a couple of them that are 20-30 feet deep, and the bass around them are just 5, 6, 8, 10 pounders. You know, there's a few bigger ones. Somebody told me somebody's grandson caught a 13 pounder in here, which I believe, but we're in Florida, that's common. So again, this is Captain Drew Cavanaugh with Florida Inshore Fishing Charters and Mosquito Lagoon Sight Fishing Charters.